Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of my discussion with David Pajo of Slint, Gang of Four, Papa M, Stereolab Tortoise, and more. We're going to start where our discussion left off last time, starting to talk about the film that David picked, Half Cocked, and why he picked it. Well, this brings us to the film that we're going to discuss today, Half Cocked, which, spoiler alert, I had no idea you were in. Right? I had this VHS tape in my store. I thought it had the most coolest, beautiful people in it that I'd seen. I was like, wow. And it was so weird. You know, I'd played with Ruby Falls. I'd seen Rodan, but it was like, I was just like, I didn't know about this film till it came out a little later. Were you familiar with Michael and Suki, the filmmakers?
Not at all.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty strange. So Michael Galinsky was in Sleepyhead, and Suki Hawley was just part of the scene, and she went on tour with Ruby Falls and came back and was like, we should document like the boredom and excitement of being on the road. So they started writing a script together and asking their friends to be in it. It's such an interesting time because what was your feeling about Louisville at this point? Like after, Slint was done and, like there's new things percolating that were obviously influenced and part of the same kind of, magic and lexicon you guys created. Did you feel part of that, or where were you at this point when this film was being made?
Yeah. Man, I'm glad you explained that because I never quite understood, like Michael and Suki, were super cool and super sweet, but I just, they were part of that. Like there was a Rocket House world, do you know the Rocket House?
No, I wanted to ask about that.
Oh, I feel like the entire movie's about that house, the Rocket House, which is what it was called, which was it was kind of like a squatter's house almost,
Right.
And it was wild, like 24/7. It like that movie it comes close to the chaos and insanity that was always going on there. Like at every hour, like I literally would be there at like 8 a.m. sometimes to pick up a guitar or some kind of errand, and there would be somebody who'd been up all night standing in front of a big screen TV, just headbanging with a beer, watching Black Sabbath live in Paris,
right.
Just, at any hour, some chaos was going on, or like some underwear with shit in it hanging, some thrown against a wall, it was insanity all the time.
Right. Wow, it's so funny. I lived in the Helk house in Portland when I was 19. Similar thing. I'd come home from work and be like, "Oh, it's a drag queen Jello party." Yeah. Like, no one told me about it. Like, everyone has made this really fancy like Jello things, and all of a sudden you come home and be like, "Oh, there's bands playing in the basement,"
right?
Right. And there were people that lived there that I never met. Like, we had a turret on the house. Like an actual kind of castle turret.
Yeah.
Never met the woman who lived in there. It's just like so weird. I don't remember anyone doing dishes.
Yeah.
I don't remember anyone like doing anything. It was like, and then, we were all kicked out at some point because they're like, oh, we're going to actually fix up this house. But it was, being part of that was like so freeing. Oh, yeah. And wild, it was like 9 of us, at least.
So you probably totally related with Tara's character in that movie.
I did, but I also, it was so funny. I did, but by this point, when the film had come out, that felt like 5 years is like a lifetime from when you've experienced something like that. By this point, I've already been an on and off Sub Pop. Like my whole world's changed. I'm like, oh yeah, this quaint little scene that I don't know much about geographically. But what was interesting about the film was visually it reminded me of what Portland looked like.
It's called Old Louisville, where it has like a lot of the really old, beautiful houses. And the house itself was really beautiful, but there's the one of the characters in the film, John Cook. Everybody played themselves.
I know.
He owned the house, he and his mom. his mom
Okay.
was as crazy or crazier than he was. I don't know if she's still alive or not. I don't know. I don't know if I should talk about it. But like, I would walk in and she'd be like, everyone be wasted and she'd be spinning a baton, like singing to some show tunes or something. Like it was a
Wow.
madhouse.
Magic.
To me,
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. Even I felt like a bit of an outsider in this house. Like,
yeah,
oh, I'm the most like straight and narrow of these people, but I've been accepted in. And they're probably glad to get my $35 or whatever it was, to help put
yes,
towards
yeah.
whatever, we were doing there.
Because you were the one. They didn't care what the hell you did, and they could do whatever they want because you paid on time, and so they didn't ask any questions.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's funny in this film, there's a lot of things that were kind of like, oh, only one person has a job, and the rest of the people, you're like, what do you do?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what do you do all day? How are you living? How are you getting money?
yeah.
It was always a mystery.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's still kind of a mystery to me how most of my friends in Louisville make money. We just never talk about it.
Right. Yeah,
It's like
exactly. Why would you? It's like,
yeah,
oh, how was work? You're already like, okay, what are we doing tonight? What kind of mischief are we gonna get into? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like, but that's, I mean, I'm sure you saw several party houses growing up. I sure did. And to me, that was like the next generation sort of punk house.
Yeah.
And so to me, I just wanted to stay out of the way. Like I was like, they've got their thing. It's super creative, like uh, art, music, printmaking, every silk screening, everything was happening all the time. Tons of creative stuff. So it was really super vibrant. And they did such a great job capturing, like, as a snapshot of that area and that time period. It brings back so many memories. I mean, I've only watched the entire film straight through twice. And the first time was when I got a VHS copy after it was made. What year did it come out?
I think 94,
So it's
I
probably
believe.
filmed in 93 then. Yeah, that would make
Yes.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause Ian and James and, the girl, who was also in the band, I never knew her name. They were all three stayed with me and my partner at the time. We also lived in Old Louisville. So I got to hang out with the DC folk a lot.
Yeah, and the makeup were just starting, like post Nation of Ulysses.
Yes, and this is a funny thing that I never knew until like years later. When we were doing the band the Guiloteens for the film, we did, I think, an Otis Redding song, and I forgot who the other song was we
A
did.
Wilson Pickett cover.
Yes, yeah. And I just figured him out real fast, and like, and we played him, and James was just like mystified. He was like, "Show me what you're doing on guitar. How do you do that? It looks like," And I was like, "It's super easy. It's just two strings, you just got to get the rhythm right and just do this." And he was like, "Oh, wow, that's cool." And then years later, he told me that was what I showed him right then was like the entire basis for what he did in the makeup. Like,
Oh, that's so
I
amazing. Yeah,
know.
it's so funny because I eat that scene you're talking about where basically this band with Ian and you and James, and I think Michelle is her name.
Michelle, yes.
Yeah, and they are the Guillotines, and they are competing. Well, they think they're a big band. He's bringing trampolines on stage, and just not having enough time to perform. It's a really funny performance,
Yeah, we're the pretentious, like arrogant.
which I saw. I remember things like that where you're like, oh, this band is just up their own ass.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. They're so annoying.
Tara Jane O'Neill from Rodan plays herself and plays his sister in it. And so what's really funny is I guess when they shot your scene of the band performing, they told them, like, don't do covers. We can't afford the publishing licensing rights to a cover by your band, so just come up with some songs. And then you guys did like Wilson Pickett, Otis Redding, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
We did
they were
covers.
like, okay, um, at the end they were like, okay, it's a Shirley Ellis song. We're just going to use that. That's more
Right.
obscure. And then they found out that it was going to cost $2 million in publishing.
Oh, see, I didn't know any of this either.
Yes, Michael talked about this. And then, so basically, they put the outro of the Wilson Pickett thing in it where you can't tell what's happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
And with hopes that no one would notice because it doesn't sound like anything based on that song. But it was like so funny that like Ian's like, no, we're going to do the covers anyway. You know, it's just probably didn't tell anyone. And like, but yeah, these poor filmmakers who made this on $10,000 with $7,000 that was given to them by Gerard at Matador in advance of a, like a soundtrack, a compilation of bands.
Right.
It's a 10,000. That's nothing to do what they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is such a beautiful looking black and white film.
Totally.
In the style of like Stranger Than Paradise or She's Gotta Have It or Tales from the Gimli Hospital. It just takes me back to like, this is what indie filmmaking was.
I had the same feelings, like, cause I saw it really early on. And then I saw it again, like recently, like straight through. And it's funny, like I had the exact same feelings the first time around, which, it was a little different because the first time around it was almost too much because it was still really all that stuff is still going on,
Right.
So it was like, yep. To me, it was like, yep, that's Jeff. Yeah, there's Jason. Oh, look,
right.
Oh, there's John. Yeah, he's going crazy. So it's funny, but everything that I felt that was the same was like one thing I felt was that I don't, maybe you could tell me if they have already done this, but I would love to see if there was even possible a footage of just all the music, just all the Guillotine stuff, because the jams we did were great. I thought.
Oh, I bet.
And oh my God, Cathy Irwin is just like, she is my favorite scene in the film still, like, decades later. She does that whole song, My Old Drunk Friend. And like when I saw it the first time, I was like, oh, I'm so glad they got this. This is like Cathy, she was just on fire back then. And that song she wrote just was mind blowing with her voice. And I would love to see just all the footage of just the music.
On Vimeo, they've put, you can rent the movie and there's extra things in it, like little documentary things. But I think that they just couldn't film everything because of the limitations of 16 millimeter and the cost of shooting. They were like, we have a tight budget. We can only shoot things a couple times. So they didn't have the luxury of being like, well, let's let it rip and then pick the best parts of the Grifters.
Right.
Or the best part of the fake band Truck Stop. It was like they could capture a bit, but I think they were just stopping and starting the cameras. What I've heard.
Wow. Okay. So that's actually all they have of the.
There might be a few things around it, that they were like, okay, well, there's 20 seconds.
Yeah.
That we started before, but I don't think they filmed any full performances because I mean, it's so amazing to think about. I remember, I wanted. Before music took me away, I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I was working at this media arts center. And even with the discounts from working at a nonprofit, I was just like, I don't know anyone that can give me $10,000 to make something.
Yeah.
And it's like, in music, I can get paid $20 to do this.
Yeah.
So it was like an economic choice in a weird way.
Totally.
And now, if someone was making it with video, there'd be all sorts of bonus things and, alternate endings and things like that because, it's really funny when they're making this, they're asking for people's input. And you mentioned John, who was in Crane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you have 3 people from Rodan in it, and you have Cynthia from Ruby Falls in it. But they were asking people like, what should we do with this script? Because they had gotten a note from Michael had gotten a note from his dad, and he wrote on it, "What the fuck is the conflict over the script?" Right? And so they were like, "Shit, we got to ask people how we can make this better." And John Cook, his notes involved a subplot where he murdered a pizza delivery guy.
Yeah.
And they were like, that was tough because it was so outside the scope of the rest of the film, but he was a bit upset that we didn't take his notes.
Yeah.
And then it said, Ian, on the other hand, made changes but didn't send them back till he got to the shoot. And they were brilliant, and it changed things in a great way, but it also meant we had to adjust a lot of new things, including writing a new ending in the middle of the shoot, because when the shoot was going on, the DC people left at some point.
Mm-hmm.
There was going to be a different ending with Ian coming back into it. So they just had to be like, well, what do we do? You know, they had a script, but it was still like they were taking ideas and they were changing things on the fly.
No, they were flying by the seat of their pants in such a cool way. Like it was, they were making decisions on the fly and just committing to them. I loved it. I mean, and that was just how you had to get shit done. I feel like,
right.
And cause like that, I totally, understand like with like the DC people disappearing, cause they were staying with me. My partner at the time, like some of her jewelry had gone missing, and we didn't. And I think she thought that I couldn't ever remember her name. And she's one of my favorite characters in the film, Michelle, the runaway. I always called her the runaway because that's how they talk. That's how they introduced me to her. She was like, "Oh, she's ran away from home. She's a runaway chick." You know, I was like, "Hey, stay at my house."
Right.
It was like really fun hanging out with them, but I don't know what I was doing. I think I had just gotten back from England and I was doing Slint stuff again in Palace Brothers.
What were you doing with Slint at this point then?
We had some new songs, that me, Britt and Brian, were working on, and we had, a friend, Tim Ruth, playing bass. And when one of the songs we would play, we ended up playing on the reunion tour. But yeah, we never ended up doing anything with those songs. But yeah, so I had that going. And I was really way social then. Like there were so many great things happening in Louisville then. And the Rocket House had its own orbit, you know, it had its own, like, bands constantly coming through town and staying at the Rocket House. And I just never went there a lot. Like I just try to stay out of their way, mostly.
Well, it's so weird. I mean, you could be part of a scene and you're like, oh, in Portland, I'm like, I never met the Dandy Warhol people.
Right.
And I was like, I never met the Nervous Christian people.
Totally,
like these other scenes that were like full of like 12 bands, right?
Yeah.
That had their own satellites and their own audience.
Exactly.
It was just, it was so weird to be like, yeah, I never hung with those people.
Never crossed paths. Yeah, it's so weird.
Right.
But like, I knew all of them really well, like since they were kids, like since they first, you know, a lot of them came to Maurice shows, or some of them, like pre-Slint shows. And so I knew them as really little kids, like John Cook. I knew him as Wally, like a little skater kid. And I thought he was so annoying.
Well, he's great in this film because he's annoying and playing himself.
Oh my gosh.
He's so good in this.
But like, I guess I didn't show up at shoots a lot. Like I guess I had other shit going on. But I would miss so many shoots that, they started calling me Waldo, like as in Where's Waldo? Oh
my God, that's brilliant.
And
wow.
And they actually added it to the film. They're like, Where's Waldo? You know, and so, and then in the credits, I'm listed as Waldo. And totally because I just kept missing shit. And that's how they just rolled with everything. And they did it. They didn't get mad. They didn't yell at me or anything. They were just, they just rolled with the circumstances, and, you know, and they made it part of, and they committed to decisions on the fly, which I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing because at this point, knowing somebody who's actually making and completing a film is like, I knew very few people that could do this.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so you have something in your town with these people and they're committed. Like, it's kind of amazing. Tara Jane is really excellent in this film.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, yeah.
really just so such an inward performance, and you're just like, I believe her. I believe the scenes with her mom being like, how are you going to get a boyfriend with this haircut? I believe her when she's like recording microcassette things, bored in a ticket booth.
They're all really being themselves. Like, it really is. Yeah.
And they're good, like in a way that anytime someone asks me to be in an indie film, I'm like, I'm so uncomfortable. I feel like I'm not being good or honest or whatever they need from me. It was like, what was the experience like for you when the cameras were rolling? Was it easy or weird?
I just did whatever they told me. Like, and I wasn't in very many scenes. Like, most of the time I was playing guitar, so I can focus on guitar.
Right.
But like there's one scene where I'm lying on the bed, and I think Ian has curlers in his hair.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah, where you guys are trying to figure out the encore.
Right.
Like, he's like, we'll be downstairs soon. We got to figure out the encore. Like, it's so great.
And my only instruction was to like just sit on the bed and pop pills. And I was like, so I don't even know what pills I had. It must have been some, like, I don't know what it was, but maybe it's just empty. But I was, so I'm not on the bed popping pills. Like, it's a real subtle thing. But I was really marginally involved, but I love just that time period, like that they just really captured. And Tara Jane's eyes are like, in black and white, you can see the vivid blue somehow,
Oh my God, it's amazing. Yeah. And it is lucky because this is not a documentary of the scene, but it feels pretty legit in a funny way in terms of, like not being good at instruments and then getting good quick, and just the personalities of, someone caring so much and being like, very earnest about it, and other people being checked out, and like, where's the money? And just already 3 days in, we're bored and we don't talk to each other. And, phrases like, I'm going to work. Do you need anything copied? I was like, oh, I miss someone saying that, because I was talking to someone the other day. That was that kept an economy of musicians alive, going to a copy store to have them make copies for you of your poster for your show.
I think Jeff actually worked at a Kinko, or like a copy shop. And so if anyone worked at a copy shop in the punk scene, like, they were instantly popular,
Yes,
like,
totally.
Everyone came to you for flyers and fanzines and everything, you were very popular. So that was really a nice thing that he offered to do. Like, I'm going, to make a copy.
So basically the story is, there's these lovely weirdos who don't know how to play music. One night when the Guiloteens are playing and they go off stage expecting an encore, her and her friends get on stage and start messing around with instruments. And, Ian comes up and slaps her. Real slap.
Yeah.
So Tara and her friends basically steal the tour van with the equipment and take off, and they just go on an adventure. I think it does capture the excitement of first tour.
Yeah.
Like, where you're like, I'm looking at things differently that I've seen before. Like, as you're leaving your home city, maybe going a little different off the path. So your first tour was with Maurice. Like, how were you putting that together? Because you guys were like, what, 15 to 18-ish?
Gosh, yeah, 15. Gosh, I guess Britt was like 15. I was, the bass player was the oldest. He was 19.
Oh my God, that's gross. But like, Do you remember anything about that first time, like
Oh
leaving?
my gosh, yeah. Well, I mean, we were my first tour was supporting Samhain for like the Midwestern part of their '86 tour.
Wow.
So, so we were basically just following them around, and our singer already had like a relationship with Glenn Danzig and stuff.
Mm.
So the whole thing, and I was like a huge Misfits and Samhain fan. So I was like over the moon, you know. I was dressed almost exactly like Glenn the whole tour. I think all of us were, you know.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, I think all of us were like Will Oldham came with us on the tour. He had like a blonde dreadlock. Um, uh,
Wow. I love it.
yeah, and they
Oh,
loved Will and Britt, man. Like
yeah.
they were little kids, you know, but where you know the Kentucky humor is pretty funny, like especially back
Yes.
then,
Oh, yeah.
and it seemed to jive with the Jersey Thugs.
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Oh, that's amazing. I also love things in it that you, this could only happen from truth. And things like the scene where like Sean Meadows of Juno 44 is like, take the money from the show or I'm going to kill you. Like, we
right,
didn't
yeah,
make, and you're like, for them, it's nothing. They just get to drive home to their house, you know, and sleep. When you're on tour and someone hands you $23, you're like, oh my God, thank you. Because you're
yeah.
like, we can get some Taco Bell and some gas and, you know, and it just, the sleeping on floors of it all. I think it really captures that thing where it feels like the possibilities are endless. You're meeting people, you're staying up all night, listening to records and, you know, drinking beer and just like, it just feels like, oh, this is my life forever. Like there's no way I can go
Yeah,
back. And I think it captures that so well.
it's the funny. I mean, I guess I do feel like it's um like that is was like the Rodan like uh June of 44 and Ruby Falls like um era of touring, and then there was like the '80s era of touring, like the late '80s, which I feel like was my era of touring, and then there was early '80s, like the early hardcore scene,
Sure, sure, sure.
um, and it is it progressively. What I've noticed is that touring gets progressively easier
Right.
with each of
Sure,
those.
sure,
Like,
sure.
did you read that De Kreuzen book that came out recently?
Oh, I read it 3 times. I had the
Yeah,
author on the
yeah,
show. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, amazing.
The starvation is unsettling, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I forgot that like that all those bands that that I just assumed because they were putting out records and I was paying to go see their show that they were rock stars, you
Me
know.
too. Me
And I
too.
was reading about them and stuff. I didn't know they were all fucking starving, you know,
No.
like and that's why they're drinking so much and that's why they're looking for drugs, you know, because they're all starving. They're all self-medicating. But like that was in the starvation kind of gets less and less.
No, it's true. There was like kind of like the roadmap had already been there, right?
Yes,
But
and
in
there's a
this film,
roadmap.
this band has no roadmap, right? So if
Yeah,
Rodan's touring, of course, they're like, oh, this record store, we can do an in-store, or we can do this, you know.
yes,
But the innocence of the great thing about this film is like this is a band that doesn't know what to do, and they kind of fall into these things that are like innocent. But I totally
yeah,
agree. It was like De Kreuzen are driving, you know, they're told like you can play this show in California, and they go, and then it's like, nah, you know, it's like
yeah.
not happening.
Just
So do we
not
stay
happening.
in California because this is where the hardcore scene is, but we're kind
Yeah,
of pulling away from it? Maybe someone will get us a show, and then they're like, we got to go home.
and that explains why you would see shows in bizarre places. You know, like
Totally.
I saw Peaches once in a tiny ballet studio in Lexington, Kentucky. And it was a really small ballet studio. And it was because their other show got canceled and somehow someone worked at a ballet studio and let him in for the night and the cops showed up and it was a wild night, you know. But I love those chaotic, impulsive shows like that.
we played a show. It was my band then, Poison Idea and DRI, in a venue that lasted one night, right? The New.
Right. Yeah.
Because like the speakers were falling, the PA was falling into the audience. There
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
there was like a knife on the floor when we were playing, like all of a sudden you look
Total
down
death
and you're
trap.
like, and you're like, there's no exits. It's 5 stories down in a vacant building. And it was like, and you get out and then there's like police on horseback, as you leave, and you're like, oh, great. Like this is never happening again. But at the time you're like, it's kind of, I didn't die, but I could have. Like, it was amazing how many things were like, how did I get out of that situation?
I mean, that just brought, like I've been carrying a bass drum after a show, like just to bring it out to the van and like, walk straight into a riot, like literally like fists and people's like windows smashing and stuff like
that.
And, I feel like that, I feel like shows are safer now. And I do like that, like, as an older person and as someone who wants to bring my kids to shows, like, I want to see the band. I don't want to fear for my life. But I love that we had that adventure growing up, the world was not safe.
Yeah. And so many things where it was just like, my first show I ever played was in Eugene, Oregon, in the shell of the house that was filmed and used in Animal House. Like the frat house is not, it's nothing, there's nothing in it. And it was a punk squat, right?
Well,
and we played
amazing.
With Dayglow Abortions and Raw Power from Italy. Our first show.
I saw Raw Power a bunch. I liked them.
I did too. But it was just like, and you're down there and like the skinhead's like, give me your guitar. You're like, no. It's like, let me play your guitar. You're like, it's my first show. I haven't even played my guitar yet, my bass. And they're already like, we're getting hassled. But the minute you played Johnny's Come Marching Home Fast, oh, you've got everyone in your hands. It was putty in your hands. It was so funny. But yeah, and then they bulldozed that down a month later. It's just so amazing. So I am glad I witnessed it. And I feel like there are a ton of bands right now doing the same things, finding weird venues, sleeping on floors, not eating well.
Still now?
Still, yeah, I think so. I think that there's an underground that, is like, there's just no money in it, and there never was supposed to be money in it. So, but it is nice that like I can go see Negative Land now in a venue that is like they've earned a venue to go see them in, instead of like, where's this? What's going on? Like, yeah. So,
gosh, that reminds me. There was a French band that I saw that in Louisville in somebody's apartment. Soviet France.
Oh, I remember. I never heard them, but I remember the name.
Oh my! They just like literally on this tiny single bedroom apartment. They just set up on the floor. They just had little like bells and stuff, and like delay pedals and stuff. And they were all like anorexic looking hippies, sort of crusty.
Right.
Punk. And we all sat quietly in a circle around them. They had a real cassette following, and they were fucking great. Like. Wow. I wasn't even that open to music like that back then. I didn't think I was,
right?
But I loved it. And stuff like that. I feel like I'm glad to hear that it still happens, because I just feel like now when I go to shows, it's all very organized and controlled.
It is. I think it's great because it's funny how this thing we made was really never supposed to get over ground. Does that make sense? And then it did. And God bless it. I'm glad it did, because people should be paid for their art and championed and influence others. And, but it is, I think it's great that there's like, when I talked to Todd Brashear the other day, he's like talking about this dungeon synth scene that's happening he's like, no one's there. And people are these dungeon synth people are coming from all over to play. And it's great. And it's like, people are just doing it. I don't know, maybe somebody has a good job and they can do that. But I do appreciate, that things are like, there are things that kind of like, oh, I've heard of this venue. So we will get paid. They're going to be good to us. It is a total blessing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now when I tour, like I want, if it's not totally professional, I'm just like, oh, what the fuck? I've done this way too many times to
Right.
deal with, but I still sleep on floors and stuff. Like I
Yeah.
don't mind. I don't know. I would like to not, but I don't complain if I have to,
Yeah, I do it too because I'm always like, I'm just so glad anyone that's in the rest of the band is happy to be doing this thing with me in a van, that I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll sleep on the couch. Like, I'll do it because I sleep with a dog. I'm used to like not sleeping like full out, spread out. I'm used to just being crunched anyway. So
Right.
I'm like, this is no problem. And I can crash quick. Not that
Yeah.
I feel refreshed anymore, but yeah. And it's so funny in this film, as they start going through, they form a band called Truck Stop, and it's really funny. Within 3 shows, they're pretty good. They have songs already, but I do
Yeah.
love the scene where they meet the older mystics, the Grifters,
Uh-huh.
who I loved the Grifters at this point. Like I was really. What's so funny is in this film, they're kind of set up to talk about like Dave saying, oh, we've been doing this for 7 years and it's a blur. And, going on tours, like seeing Viewmaster images,
Yeah.
and the boredom that's omnipresent and stuff. And I remember when we opened for the Grifters, Scott was one of the few people I knew who had a kid in indie rock. And I was going to have a kid. And I was like, what's it like? Please,
Yeah.
Scott from the Grifters, tell this stranger who's opening for you how to parent. And he was so nice. And so this film is so funny because Truck Stop are kind of sitting at the feet of the Grifters. These people who are, oh my gosh, 34 at this point, 35,
Yeah.
and they're just giving the wisdom. But it is nice to hear them play like, she blows blasts his static in this film. It's really fun to see the Grifters in their element playing too.
Totally. Yeah. I I feel like there were, because you saw that world, you I feel like the 80s and 90s have been sort of selectively romanticized, um, and because like I feel like I can't open Instagram without seeing Alan Vega or Patti Smith or Tom Waits, like Lemmy or somebody. All these people that were not cool in the 80s, like uh, um, and like one thing that there are a lot of things I don't miss from back then, like you mentioned it, like skinheads, like
It's horrible.
they were a real cancer, when we just fucking all dealt with it,
Yep, totally.
and now I never see gangs of skins, like I, which is great, like, but because they would just show up at shows. um I was lucky because as a musician, they liked all the bands I was in, so they
Right.
gave me a pass. One guy just insisted that I was Native American. I was like, no, I'm half Filipino, and he's like, no, it's cool. You're Native American, so you're a real
Oh
American.
my
I was
God.
like, oh
Yeah.
god,
Yeah, it was really bad in Portland too. And it was weird. You'd just be having a good time and then you'd be like, fuck, they're here.
oh
Like
yes,
it just
yeah,
all of a sudden, like they were never on time. It was like the show was already going and then it was like, fuck. And I remember
yeah,
one show where Jerry A was like chasing him out. He had like a chain, like, and it was like swinging it. And
yeah,
like, cause at a certain point, like the audience just cracked. We couldn't take it. And I remember they just, it sucked so hard. And I remember even a show where BGK from Italy were playing and they came
oh
and they were
wow,
Sieg Heiling, and the lead singer's like, called one of them up on stage and they're face to face. And he's like, if you did that in Italy, you'd be beaten up, like you can't, you have no idea what you're doing, Sieg Heiling. And he's like,
yeah.
and they started throwing
He
like,
lectured him on
yeah.
stage.
And then BGK
Holy
started
shit!
throwing money at the skinheads to get them out there. It was like
Wow.
wild. And then they left, like they were like, people were just screaming at them, but it was like
Yeah.
such, it just sucked. It sucked because it and it was heartbreaking.
I imagine in Portland it was in like way more intense than what we had. Like
Yeah.
when I saw.
Well, we had, the Idaho skinheads and the Oregon skinheads, and
Mm,
there was a lot of like anti-queer legislation going on at the same time, and just,
yeah.
Portland was already, Portland already is a segregated city. So it was just like it was just omnipresent, and then this murder happened with these two skinheads who got arrested who murdered this Ethiopian man, and then it was like they all
Oh,
dispersed. It was so
right.
fucking horrifying and sad, and that like nothing was being done about it until someone was murdered, and then it was like the police were like, okay, we got a problem here. It was fucked. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like, I feel like people forget the shitty like stuff from back then too,
Yeah,
because it's so romanticized. Like,
that's so true.
uh, a friend was over recently, who's much younger than me, and I said something about the '80s, because I'm always showing my age, and she was like, "Oh, you're so lucky you got to grow up in the '80s," and I was like, um, I was like, man, the '80s sucked. I don't like the '80s whole '80s revival, like, or whatever, like, like whatever's cool about the '80s now was not cool back then.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we're like, people know Poison ID and DRI, like the bands you mentioned now, which I back then I never would have imagined that, the average or like the average casual music listener would even know about. I don't know, maybe not the casual music listener, but like the casual like punk rock listener would know.
Yeah, they're legacy bands.
Yeah, yeah.
Never would have thought.
Yeah, or like being able to go to any mall and buy, Converse Misfit shoe.
I
Like,
know.
it's an absolute. We never would have imagined it, but like in the '80s, all those people were the losers. Like, and that kind of carried over into the '90s, like the loser vibe, slackers and stuff. But it does seem like, I don't know. It just I don't. The '80s was all like pastel colors and fake, and it
Yeah.
was. I felt like punk was like the only dose of reality in the world.
Oh my God, totally. That's why I did it. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I was, and also what a weird. I mean, I don't know. This is yeah. I'm sorry. I'm old. Sorry, people, but you are too. But just the thought of being disliked because of your taste in something, or being
yes.
like, you know, when Jerry Casale of Devo was on, just getting to talk to him about, oh, Devo was the attack word. Like hey, Devo. My PE teacher, whenever I'd screw up, would be like, nice job, Devo. It was like
Oh, right,
such a
right.
put
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
And I'm like,
That was an
I'm a
insult.
seventh grader who just likes a band.
Yeah,
Sorry, and that went forever. Like, you're weird, you know. So for me, just finding a scene, finding like-minded creative people, and how the one good thing about the '80s was it was so, and maybe it's true now. I found it incredibly easy to just, oh, we made something, and a month later we have a show. Like
right.
we figured it out. You know,
Oh, yeah, yeah. The immediate gratification.
yeah, this is fun. Like, it's so fun to perform and just be part, and also just being like asked to open for these amazing bands that were, like you said, I thought D. Kreuzen were huge.
Yeah, yeah,
All these bands that came through was like, oh, of course, we're gonna play with Tex and the Horseheads. They must be huge. They found their
yeah,
way here. Oh my God, Sister Double Happiness. It's Gary Floyd. They gotta be rich, or not rich, but they
yeah.
gotta be, okay. And it's like, nope, they're like you.
Man, I saw Johnny Thunders once, and at Tooligan's Tavern in Louisville. When I was it was one of my earlier shows actually. It must have been like '84 because yeah, that was around when I got into or found my my dysfunctional punk rock family. um, was around that time, but I saw Johnny Thunders, and I didn't really know like his music at all, but I just thought he was like this drunk glam rocker. It was a tiny bar, almost nobody there.
Yeah.
One of my drunk friends like almost hit him on stage because he was being kind of an asshole rock star on stage, and like it was not a good show, and it was not a good impression of Johnny Thunders that I had. And it's weird it's just weird to think that like, yeah, there was no map, there was no touring circuit yet, like,
and there was nowhere to go. Like, even if, like, what do you do? Like,
there was nowhere to go. It's funny you say that because David Berman actually pointed that out to me, that our generation, like it seemed like successive generations had their own TV shows aimed at their generation. They had their own like styles of music aimed at them. They had styles of dressing aimed at them and all this stuff. But we didn't, we grew up watching like the Three Stooges in black and white, the Munsters or Lost in Space or Speed Racer, like these shows, nothing was aimed for our generation. We were watching like really old ass shit, Popeye from the fucking 40s or something, well into, teenage years,
right.
We continue, that was our set. So we didn't really have anything for our generation. We didn't have anywhere to go. We didn't have skate parks. We didn't have, so we went up to McDonald's parking lots. You hung out at parking lots and you found like areas just to hang out at.
You had to kill time.
To get out of your parents' house.
It's interesting because, I have such an affinity for what I saw, and I feel like I came up in a really fantastic era that just was just moving so fast and growing at such a rapid rate, and was just, I was so thankful. And it just informed me with film and visual art and literature and music, and that I kind of feel glad that you kind of had to lean on others, the zine, look at a picture to imagine what it sounded like, or the record clerk, or that the reason I have this podcast now is because of the era I came up in. Is that just things hit so powerfully that I would be trying to memorize what I was seeing or experiencing so I just wouldn't forget it, if it was a film, I'd be like, how can I remember this thing that is just fucking like, I can't handle it. Like, I don't want it to leave.
I can't handle it. I don't want to. It's because you're so fully. I mean, you really are in the moment, like, because you have to rely on things like memory, or you have to rely on, I don't know, like your friend's phone not being busy when you try to call them. Like,
oh my god.
Just like, so that you can meet up later or get a ride, or, I mean.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for the world either. It is true that like cool shit is always happening, in America, in tiny pockets by young people.
Yes.
Cool music is, and I feel like I look and I ask everybody, and the stuff that people tell me about, I'm just like, man, that just sounds like really bad. Like, I don't know. Like it doesn't, and I know that I'm not the audience for it. I'm not necessarily, if I don't like it, maybe that's a good thing to them, So I just, I guess that's always the mission, whether regardless. Like back then, it was the mission to find the pockets of cool shit happening, and it's still the mission now. But we also have like all the real life bullshit to deal with.
Yeah. Yes, we do. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like this film could not be made now.
Oh no
It'd be
way.
like we can't do, this band would be like, well, the police have found you immediately and you
Yes.
are arrested. Like this band like that stole this thing and you're all going to jail and you didn't make it to the first show and you showed up and people are like, the venue's been closed for a year. We don't have anything in this town anymore. It's all closed. Oh, it's so funny. So 1994 is such a sweet spot for the arc of this story
Yeah.
because like again, things were above ground. The underground was above ground. And so there was an ecosystem, there was a roadmap, and there were people willing to go out. But I do feel like one of the great things that they do capture in this film is just playing to very few people.
Yeah.
Like you just do it and you're so excited to do it.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned that it was an ecosystem now because I mean they really did a great job of capturing just the intense creative vibrancy at that time. Like 93 and 94, when I try to think about that time in Louisville, it is I can't even believe how much was going on like musically, um like in every aspect, and there were still like pockets of really crappy local music still
Sure.
happening, of course. But it was like you said, it was all happening so fast, and that I'm so glad they captured that time period with no money, and they did it like, um I mean, it's the quality of the shots and everything. Like
It's beautiful.
it's sharp and clear. It's well composed. All the scenes and stuff. Like the story is clear. They really knocked it out of the park. Um, and that is the like total. It was part of the DIY thing. Like you want to make a movie, make a fucking movie. You can do it.
Yeah, and it's wild because they're still making films together, Michael and
Yeah.
Suki. But I like that they're a partnership still, and that they're just still making documentaries and it's cool. So
They I mean, I feel like those creative working dynamics that you have when you're young and that age, if you can retain them for your whole life,
yeah,
the they will it'll just be better than any other
yeah,
creative dynamic you have,
yeah,
because you were drawn to each other at a young age and you know each other so well.
yeah,
You work how to work together,
yeah,
and all the things you don't even have to talk about. All the things you never have to bring up because you're on the same page about. You know,
yeah.
um, yeah. That's didn't Michael do a book on his photographs of malls in the '80s, decline of the mall civilization or something?
Yeah, I believe so. I've never seen it, but yeah, I mean, they have an eye.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like when they know how to shoot like a dark alleyway, it's picking up everything and it's just I mean, I just can't it's a beautiful looking film. It's just kind of surprising when I watched it again cuz my memory of it because I hadn't seen it in decades
yeah,
was it's a scrappy little indie film that like I think it was probably, it probably doesn't look that great. It's pretty haphazard and like the performances are probably like choppy. And it's like it's pretty sophisticated for people like doing something with so little money. And also the principal people who are in it, it just doesn't feel like they're checked out. Like they are
yeah,
into being into this film, which is surprising because it asks so much of them. We have to
yeah,
do this. You have to be here. Okay, say these lines. I mean, that's intimidating. To be like, I don't want to say this. I don't want to do this. Like this character, I would never say that. It's supposed to be me. It. I don't know. I think there's an eloquence to it that like I'm really surprised by.
yeah. I had never seen, like Tara, I always thought of as a very shy and quiet person, and soft spoken, and like I'd never seen her like acting until I first like came to the shoot. And I'd never seen Ian like totally. He loved it, obviously.
Yeah.
Like he just loves the camera on him, and he's so flamboyant. And he's like, "Yeah, film more of me." But so he has that. You need an extroverted personality like that, and he really carries the film a lot of times when there's not a lot of like character, just like emotiveness happening.
Yeah. It's very inward.
Yeah. But like to see Tara kind of embracing it in her own way was really cool. And that says, that's a good testament to Michael and Suki's ability to work with the actors and just absorb whatever ideas they have as well, and make them comfortable enough, like shy, introverted people, to be filmed. I mean, I was I was painfully shy. And I was okay with, lights and camera on me and stuff. Like, I don't know. And like, they greased my hair back and stuff. Like, I didn't, normally it would be a nightmare for me to like, I'd be like, oh, I look so ugly. Turn the camera off, but they just made everything so chill. And I was just like, oh, everyone's just like turning this into a game, like they're just having fun with it. And I'm sure Michael and Suki were like, okay, we're busting ass though, but for the actors, it was just like, oh, this is fun. We're going to make this fun.
They're a very believable sibling unit. Like I could imagine like Ian took all the firstborn energy and it's just like, true. I'm the prima donna and she's like, like what's left? Like I live with a rock star brother in his own head. I remember I really enjoyed the film when I saw it. I saw it a couple times, back in, when I had the video store in the, late 90s when it came out on VHS. And had my own memories of it. But yeah, they made a really great independent film. And I guess I'd forgotten that. So.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I felt the same way. I thought it was like more almost like a documentary of that time, kind of not half-assed at all, but like I thought it was, like kind of a scrappy, like quickly done, low budget film. But seeing it again, I was like, oh, this is all like really well composed, and I'm like very well edited, and they had the foresight to let the cast carry, to just let them, kind of blossom and not worry, it seems like, or like if they're sticking to the script exactly or anything like that, they really, that is a really good working dynamic when you can when all these like hurdles are being thrown your way, you just work them into whatever you're working on. Like they did a great job with that film.
What do you think happened to any of the characters in this film? Like, what do you think Tara Jane, where did Tara Jane end up as a character in this film? And where do you think Ian's character in the Guillotine ended up?
See, I can't really even see it as fiction at all because I just feel like I know them all too well.
Right. I get it. Yeah. Ian. Yeah, this character in the Guillotine formed the makeup. and then weird war.
I would say in real life, if they were a brother and sister, and like, I would say that like he'd be working at a music go round now, maybe, or although I shouldn't talk because I've been seriously considering getting a job at Guitar Center.
Oh God, you're not alone, my friend.
I mean, I've been thinking about going just asking for an application, but I don't want to. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't. So anyway, yeah, that's probably what's happening. The Guillotines are actually working at Guitar Center.
David, thank you so much for picking this film to discuss on the show and coming on. I will put links in the show notes for everyone to find the film and support the film. You can rent it from the filmmakers still. Really worth seeing, I believe. But as I always do at the end of every episode, I ask the same question, but I tailor it depending on what we're talking about. So on a scale of your first band's first show, what would you give Half Cocked, the movie and your experience being in it, if 2 audience members at your first show was the lowest and a massive 12 people in the audience being at your first show is the highest?
Oh man. I would probably be a like 10 audience members and maybe 2 that's just snuck in, or two friends that just barreled their way in.
Well, that's the right answer, as you can see here. It's 10 plus 2 that barreled in. Oh my God. Yeah, it's the right answer, of course. Yeah. There's nothing like looking out and seeing an empty club when you're young and still being cool with it.
Yeah, you're just trying not to fuck up. You're like,
yes.
And you just don't even know what a show is yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Oh, thank you so much, David. This was great.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for asking me.
Thank you for listening to Revolutions Per Movie. We release new episodes every Thursday on your favorite podcast app and additional bonus episodes every Sunday on our Patreon. The show's a completely independent affair, so the best way to support the show is through our Patreon at patreon.com/revolutionspermovie, where you can get weekly bonus episodes and shows, exclusive limited edition flexi discs and records and CDs featuring guests that have appeared on the show, and other exclusive goods sent to you just for joining. You can follow us on social media at Revolutions Per Movie and also find out more information about our various guests in the episode show notes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Bye!